Hey everyone, it's Carissa Wiley here for ellenhudson.com. Thanks for joining me today. Today I am sharing a fun swing and slide interactive card featuring the brand new Hit That Stamp and coordinating die set, as well as the never-ending Fringe die set available from ellenhudson.com. I absolutely had the most wonderful time creating this Piñata themed card, and I think you're going to love it too. So I'm starting out with the little piñata from the Hit That Stamp set. I've stamped it in some Gina K Obsidian Amalgam ink onto some Nina Solar White heavyweight cardstock. And I'm doing a little Copic coloring. I will show you all the Copic colors that I used here in just a moment. I'm doing some simple coloring, but I'm using this really fun festive color palette today. It's not like the stuff that I normally do, but I absolutely had the best time working with this palette. It's got some blues and some bright greens and some pinks, and I thought it was a lot of fun to work with. Now here's a look at all the Copic markers that I used. If you want a freeze frame here, you can check those out, and that's the entirety of all the markers that I used. And once I have that colored, I am going to use the coordinating die and run that through my die cut machine to die cut this adorable little piñata. I keep wanting to call him a donkey. I guess he is a donkey, but he's also a piñata. So I have that ready to go. And now I have some tissue papers. This is like gift tissue paper. I've pulled it out in some fun colors. It's folded like it comes in the package. I'm going to leave it folded, and I'm just going to cut it down so that it will fit through my die cut machine, because I'm planning on die cutting some fringe from this using the brand new Never Ending Fringe die set from the Essentials by Ellen line. I love this die set. I'm going to show it to you here in just a moment. It's very cool because it comes with 3 dies and it has different size fringe for each die. So this is the smallest one here. I'm going to hold the others up so you can see it. And the fringe gets a little bit larger from here. I'm going to use the smallest one today. But the other cool thing is there is no cut line at the edge of this die. So you could shift this over and die cut it again, and it will keep going. You can make this as long as you want it to. And don't forget, you could die cut this from felt or from cardstock as well. I just thought the tissue paper would give it a really fun, authentic, festive fiesta vibe. So that's what I chose to do today. Now I am cutting 2 colors of tissue paper at once, and there's about 4 or 5 layers of tissue paper once it's all folded together in each of these. So it's die cutting with my regular sandwich through 2 sets of folded tissue paper just fine. You can see I have the darker pink behind it. I'm going to snip it off just so that it's easier to work with, but I'm keeping them all grouped together because, like I said, it doesn't cut the end, so they will stay attached unless you like snip that apart. And I'm not doing that because I want to make my job easier, not harder. Sometimes I do things the hard way, but today I was trying to do it the easy way to save myself a little frustration. Now, once I have all of my colors die cut, I'm just separating them so that I can work with one color at a time. And I have an A2 size card front. I believe it's actually about 4 inches by 5 1/4, so just a little bit smaller than an A2 size card front. And I am going to start adhering all of these tissue paper fringes onto my card front using a little bit of liquid adhesive. Now I cut down some of these longer ends that were kind of at the top of the tissue paper just to get them out of my way. And I'm going to work from the bottom up. So I'm starting with this really beautiful blue, adding a little bit of liquid adhesive onto that, and then I'm going to position it onto the card front at the bottom. Now there are several layers, like I said, in each of these stacks of fringe tissue paper, and that adhesive is only going to hold 1 layer at a time. So in order to rectify that and get all of these kind of glued down, I am going to just separate the top edges and add more liquid adhesive between each of the layers. And I used anywhere from 2 to 3 layers of each of these colors. There might have been like 5 layers total. I'm not real sure. But once again, once I get that in position, I'm going to work my way up. I'm going to use this really beautiful aqua color, position that. I'm going to separate it near the top, kind of just pull those edges up and add another line of adhesive in there. And I'm going to do this between all of the layers that I want to stay on my card front. So I've added that one. I'm going to add another line of adhesive, press that layer down. And once I've added all the layers that I want of that color, I'm going to kind of separate and pull off the extra layers. Now, when you die cut this much tissue paper at once, it kind of presses together. So these are all staying put really well. But I don't want to put them onto my card front without adding a layer of liquid adhesive at every layer because I don't want them to fall off. Once they start to kind of separate and fringe up a little bit, I don't want that to be a problem. So that's why I'm doing it this way. Now I've worked my way up the card. I had a green color, an orange color, a darker pink, and a lighter pink. And once again, I'm just adding adhesive between all those layers. And I found that running my scissors between the layers really helped separate the fringe without kind of fluffing it up too much. I do need to run this through my die cut machine again, so I don't want them to be all wild just yet. So now it's time to work on the interactive portion, and I have the Essentials by Ellen Swing and Slide die set, and I've chosen this little curved swing and slide die to create the interactive swinging portion on my card. I'm going to figure out where I want it. I'm going to hold it in place using some purple tape and run that through my die cut machine. Now, you know how they say hindsight is 20/20? It totally is. And if I would do this again, I would make sure that I wasn't cutting through beyond where I have adhesive on that top fringe because the little pieces of pink fringe didn't have anything holding them onto the card anymore. I fixed it by adding a little bit of liquid glue along the edge of that channel that I created. But if I would have just moved my little swing and slide die up just slightly, I would have avoided this problem altogether. So now I am going to add some foam adhesive to a penny. You could use a quarter or a dime, but that just costs you more money. So I'm using a penny today. And I'm adding this circle foam adhesive. I should have never used the circle. I know this about like penny slider cards. If you use a circle, it's going to allow your shape to do kind of cartwheels within this track. And that's not what I was going for. So I will change that out later. But I used 3 layers of foam adhesive on top of my penny. And before I adhere this onto my card front, I am going to add a little bit of twine to my piñata here. This is just some natural twine from Lawn Fawn, and I'm using a little bit of liquid glue. I'm also going to add some twine, kind of attaching him over the top of the card front later on. But you can see I've just flipped my card over and I'm adding my penny into that channel so that I can determine where I need to put the foam adhesive on the back side of this card front. I'm going to use a double layer of this foam adhesive, so I'm just folding it over on itself, and then I will cut this apart into the strips that I need while it is folded on itself. That just creates an easy double layer of foam adhesive. And the reason I need the penny nearby is to make sure that I'm not placing foam adhesive anywhere that's going to hinder the sliding of that penny back and forth within the channel. So I'm adding it along the top and the bottom. I'll add it along the sides, but I'll make sure you can see on the left side there, it's kind of cut at an angle so that penny can move all the way over in the channel. And then I can flip this over. See, the penny moves freely. The foam adhesive's not in the way. And I can trim off the excess fringe. I could have done this earlier, but I just didn't. So now I'm trimming it with some long blade scissors, clean that edge up, and I have my card front ready to go on my card base. Now I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to add my penny with the foam adhesive coming up through that channel, and I'm going to add my little piñata. And this is where you're going to see that he is doing cartwheels. He is flipping all over the place. That's not really what I was going for. I was just going for a good swing here. And so I had to actually see him flipping around. That's because the foam adhesive on top of my penny is a circular shape. Now I'm going to change that out to a rectangular shape. I'm just going to use that little leftover double layer foam adhesive that I have, place it onto the top of my penny, to replace that circular shaped foam adhesive. And this is going to make my little piñata slide back and forth rather than roll and flip and turn. Now, the rolling and flipping and turning is a lot of fun for some cards, but it's not what I was going for on this card. So just keep that in mind. I've placed that foam adhesive onto my penny, and then I'm going to add my little piñata right on top. And that allows him to slide right along that track, and he's not doing cartwheels anymore. So now I'm going to take that twine, that's that same natural twine. I've added a little bit of glue to it, and I'm going to add it to the back side of my piñata. And I'm going to let that dry. I'm just holding it in place with my favorite tweezers there. I'll let that dry. And while I'm working on that, I decided to go ahead and place my card front onto my card base. Now, I almost put it on this white card base, but then I had the idea to try it on a craft card base, and I loved that so much. So I went ahead and adhered that down onto a top folding A2 size craft card base. So this was cut to 4 1/4 by 11 inches and scored at 5 1/2 inches to create this top folding A2 size card. You can see my little piñata swinging back and forth there. It's so much fun. And I went ahead and fluffed up the fringe at this point. But if you'll notice, my piñata wasn't swinging like super fabulous here. And that's because the fringe was kind of impeding the sliding motion just a little bit. So I'm going to go here in just a minute and kind of adhere some of that pink fringe down using a little bit of liquid adhesive to kind of keep it out of the way of the motion of that piñata. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and stamp and heat emboss my sentiment. This is a happy birthday sentiment. It's from the Hit That stamp set. I cut it in between the words so that I could create a 2-line sentiment. I inked it up using some Versamark ink, and I'm stamping it onto this little tag, which is from the Essentials by Ellen parcel box die set. I added some white embossing powder, and then I'm going to heat set that. And once I get that heat set, I decided I wanted to add it onto that little twine or rope loop that I created. So I just went ahead and snipped the loop right in the center there where it wasn't adhered down. I'm going to add my tag on using a little bit of foam adhesive. I just glued the end of that little bit of twine down. Then I'll remove the backer from the foam adhesive, place that on, and I'm going to take that other piece of twine and just kind of feed it through the hole of that tag, kind of glue it in place. Now here is where I decided that I needed to kind of add a little bit of glue to that fringe area to allow my piñata to swing a little bit better. So I'm just kind of adding tiny bits of glue and just kind of pressing that down so that my piñata can swing more freely. And then I'm going to finish off my card with a few little polka dot sprinkles. They're clay sprinkles from Pretty Pink Posh, and a little bit of Stardust stickles on my piñata to give it a little bit of sparkle, because we cannot miss that opportunity to add a little bit of sparkle and shine. So there you have it, a fun, interactive, swinging piñata card featuring the brand new Hit That stamps and dies from the Essentials by Ellen line, as well as the Never Ending Fringe die set. I absolutely love this colorful fringe on the bottom of this card, and I cannot wait to play with this die set a little bit more. As always, I will have links to the featured products used in this project in the description at YouTube. If you're looking for something in particular, be sure you check there, or you can head on over to the ellenhudson.com blog. I'll have that linked below as well. Over there, you'll find more still shots, more information, and a complete list of supplies. As always, thanks so much for stopping by and for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notifications here on the ellenhudson.com YouTube channel so you won't miss any of our paper crafting and card making video tutorials. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, I hope you have a fabulous day.